Greetings from Dystopia, episode 132, Fly Fishing Afterglow. It's a message I got last night. Friend of mine, Army friend, asking me if that was, the equivalent of Afterglow, and do I have regrets because it seemed like it. Yeah. I think I'm trying to ease out onto the bridge here. We're out at the old bridge here over the DuPage River. Because I am looking for that snapping turtle. Oh! Big old bass just jumped right there. Saw him out of the corner of my eye. Can probably see the rings. It looks like he's actually coming this way. Looking at the ring patterns and the current. Hopefully y'all can hear that hawk up top. But yeah, having gone back and watched the video the other day where the turtle was right down here, watched it multiple times, slowed it down to 1/32 of the speed and watched it in slow motion. It is definitely a common snapping turtle, and a big one. Should be able to see all the kayaks coming down there on the north side of the bridge. If not, I'll zoom in. Taking a look down in the water. Again, I don't know how well they'll show up. But right in here, right dead center, a couple of those hog suckers, the big ones. I have never seen them this big as they get on this river. I don't know if she'll show up on camera or not. Up there, coming over the top of that tree. Old red tail, raising hell. Alright. So, I'm just out here to pound out my walk real quick and get that over with. I realize I'm backlit. So, a couple comments on the nettles yesterday. My daughter was like, "Of course you have nettles in America." And I know that. I just never associated nettles here because I'd never run into them. And it just didn't register in my brain. Stop the camera real quick. There was an older gentleman running up off of the tracks. I've seen him out here a few times. He runs the railroad tracks. Kills me how much some of you guys like the ones where I was backlit like that. Almost done with my walk. Have all the kayakers are out here on the river behind you guys. Got a whole bunch of questions here, but I was going to do them while I was walking, but nah. I'm just going to finish here and go back and go find a place to park up and tie on some lines and answer these questions. See you guys in a few. Alright, I got the walk done. Alright. Thankfully none of you guys have poked fun at me for that, but I'm starting to see it more and more when I edit, and it just bugs me that I do that. Alright, okay. Yeah, walk's done, so now I'm going to go find some place to sit, answer a few more questions and comments, and then I'll talk about rigging the fixed line rods. I did have questions about them. I hate when it's in that position. It bounces and it hits the rack. There's an overhead storage rack in this van, and every now and then that 6-weight bounces and hits it. And just like this little plastic, well, you can't see it here, there's a plastic plug that holds up the ceiling liner. Every now and then it'll hit it too, and it's just tick, 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 tick. And it's an annoying one. So, the questions about the rods were the Riverworks rods. How do I like them? Had I fished them? How do I like them? I've fished the big one. I have not fished the micro yet. And that's on the agenda for Wisconsin. is to get out and fish the micro. So let's go check the butterfly park. There's not a lot of people there. I'll park up and go for a walk there and go to one of the shelters. 1, 2, 3. I see 3 cars, but no people. That might work. We're going to try that. Oh, there's a group of 3. It's funny, I was just emailing with someone talking about that extroverted introvert thing, and I just find when I go to the woods, I want to be with 4 people. There's a little short kid. When I go to the woods, I like to be by myself or with, 1 or 2 people. As a group, I don't like being out and I get all zen and all peace. And then comes a bunch of noisy people coming down the trail, but it happens. There's not much I can do about it. All right, I got to kill some time to let them get up. I'm trying to see if they're going to go to the pavilion I was heading to. And, oh good. They turned in towards it and then decided to go on down the trail. You know what? I'll do that part here. I happen to get these questions on, some of them on Messenger, some of them on a group on Facebook, and then, there they are. And then I got follow-ups on YouTube. I'll do those real quick because those are the easy, should be the easy stuff. So the first question was out of a fly tying group, and some of the guys were talking about backpacking and hiking just to go back to areas to fish, kind of like I've been doing. And one of the questions was, do you ever tie flies in the field or stream side? I have. And actually, that is my stream side vise. I can get a piece of paper back behind it just to make sure it focuses. So it's got a long, whoa, almost lost my tippet rings. So yeah, it's got a threaded base. You just screw it into wherever you want. It's a very small. I've done size 12 in there, thin wire. So like the Japanese style thin wire hooks, and it works very well. It's just a simple, tightening collet and a very simple jaw. This, I think I found this on eBay. But yeah, it's a very simple, they make the point, they split the metal, and they make a conical collet, thread it. So it goes in and tightens down the jaws. It's a very, I love this little vise. I did it in, let's see, where did I tie? A couple times in Wisconsin, just to be silly. I went out, fished for a while. There was one of the parks up there that is adjacent to one of the coulees I fish, or it's actually in the coulee, but right next to it. I sat down, I started my water, made a cup of coffee. Actually, I think I made tea, but anyways. And sat there and tied flies while I was drinking my coffee. Just made a good day, and I fished the flies that day. I think I lost all of them, but it was just one of those days. So yeah, I do tie stream side. Very rarely, and it's more of a thing to vary up the day, so it's something different. How do you rig level line? We'll talk about that in a little bit. The Riverworks rods, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Microfishing, you mentioned doing it. Where do you find the hooks? A lot of guys that microfish tie their own hooks. The best source, I know Chris, and I'm not plugging him because I know him, but Tenkarabum, tenkarabum.com, tenkarabum.com. Chris Stewart. Chris imports a lot of this stuff for microfishing, and it just makes it so much easier. But these are 0.3 size hook. I don't know if the camera will focus on those, I hope. There we go. Yeah, so T90. Looking at it, I'm guessing that's about a size 28 or 30 American style size hook. These are a half moon clip. They come with a 45 centimeter pre-snelled leader tippet. I bought a few different packs from Chris and bought some from somebody else that had also gotten them from Chris and decided that the microfishing was not for him. So yeah, those are really handy. Seriously, if you're going to microfish, you can find small American hooks, but I'm telling you, the Japanese market, because microfishing is so popular there, that's the place to go. So look for importers in the States. Like I said, Tenkara Bum is awesome. Tenkara Yaya, I believe, carries small hooks like that, and those come straight out of Japan. I don't know how much he actually stocks versus, oh, you need this? I'll go to the store and buy it for you and ship it. So he's a great guy, though. I've dealt with him a few times. What's my favorite thing about the driftless? Since you mention it so much, so often, it must be something special. Yeah, it is. Is it the fishing? And I've talked about that before too. Is it the fishing? Is it the people? Is it the beauty of the area? It's not one of them. It's all of them. Yeah, it's just everything about that area. You'll see next weekend I'll shoot some video. Like I said, on the dailies, I'll concentrate a little bit more on the area than the fishing, but obviously I'll show you the creeks and how tight they are and stuff. Cliff. So that was the other question. Cliff, did you meet him? Yeah, I did. I left that out of the edit yesterday, and I'm sorry. I actually did meet him on the way out yesterday afternoon. We finally ran into each other. Let me wait till these people go by. All right, so back to the questions. Did I meet Cliff? Yeah, actually yesterday on the way out, right just between that little bridge and the parking lot, I ran into him coming down the trail with his rod, and so we introduced ourselves and talked for a few minutes. Really nice guy. Kind of the same thing. He has, well, not the same thing as me, but his love of creek fishing. But I tried to get him to let me film him, and so we could kind of talk for a couple minutes. But he said he'd rather not be on camera, and that's fine. I just thought that would have been a pretty cool scoop to talk to somebody else that fly fishes small creeks. He has a few mobility issues, and that prevents him. I forgot what he had. He had a knee replaced, and I'm sorry, Cliff, I forgot what you said the other thing was, but his long distance mobility is not that good. So he doesn't go fishing places where he's got to walk for miles and miles. I think he said creek fishing, but bigger creeks. There's an unnamed creek in, I guess that's technically Geneva, Illinois, St. Charles area. It's a tributary of the Fox, but it's a pretty well-kept secret. So yeah, he had fished that creek, and we talked about it for a couple minutes, but he just got into fishing the smaller creeks after seeing something. Good God, I'm terrible at remembering that stuff, especially when I only meet somebody once. He was watching something on a sports channel, and it was a fly fishing show. New Fly Fisher, maybe? But yeah, they had talked about fishing small creeks. And that's what got him interested in it. And he's like, I had this one weight. Hey, they're finally leaving. I had this one weight sitting on a shelf. Never fished it. Became the perfect chance. So yeah, I have a one weight too. And I keep threatening to bring it out for these creeks. But, you tie into some of these bigger chubs. And like I said, that one yesterday, he put half of the 2 weight in a bend. Strong little bugger. Okay. Next question. Well, yeah. I noticed your Zimmerbilt pack and the modifications you showed. Did you do this specifically for backpacking? And do you think fly fishing and backpacking go together? What about the rod weight? That's interesting. I've been emailing back and forth with somebody, and that was a topic brought up in an email. Not so much about weight and all of that, but it's just, there's a little bit of irony there in the conversation. Yes, and yes. I did specifically have those put in there for more of day hiking, day packing trips, and being able to pack the smaller fixed line rods. So that's why the quiver tubes are in there. Do I think fly fishing and backpacking go together? Why not? Absolutely. You think about it. You're going to spend a day on a creek or a river. You're going to want to take a lunch with you, water, wet weather gear, additional fishing supplies, maybe a first aid kit and stuff. So you're going to carry a pack. I find that with the exception of my big Sims sling, we'll talk about that in a little bit, I'm not a huge fan of fishing packs. The vast majority don't work both ways. They either carry just your fishing gear, so they're tiny, or they're too big, but yet laid out in such a way that I can't put my wet weather gear in, I can't put first aid kit in, even if it's small, flexible, like you guys have all seen it's just out of my arm's reach here, my Dyneema backpacking first aid kit. Yeah, and that was the intent with that pack, is it's a good... I forgot how big that thing is. It's funny, I can never remember the finer details on that pack. You'd think I would. I mean, I had it custom made, but... Yeah, so it's based on the Zimmerbilt Quick Step X-Pack. 1,700 cubic inches main pack volume. Pack volume with outer pockets, 2,200 cubic inches. Mine may be slightly larger because of the way he put the mesh on. I'm not sure, Chris, if you ever watch these. Maybe you can let me know. Yeah, so it's a lightweight pack, but with those modifications, it works perfect for me. And I can carry all my stuff for a day. If I could easily do a couple night trip in that pack. I don't think that I'd want to try and go for a week unsupported. Pack's a little bit small. Yeah, for years I carried, backpacking. I carried an older Eddie Bauer pack, a legit Eddie Bauer when they were. I hate to diss these guys, but their gear 20 years ago was a completely different standard than it is now, and that's all I'm going to say. Now, do you think fly fishing and backpacking go together? Absolutely. Your next question in that one sentence, what about rod weight? That's up to you and what you're willing to carry. With carrying fixed line rods, I can actually carry 4 rods for the weight of one conventional fly rod. With the reel, the line, the backing, everything. Carrying 4 fixed line rods weighs less than all of that. So yeah, we'll edit that down. I'll edit this down a little bit. I'm just trying to answer all of these questions. All right, so that answers those. Now, I just closed it by accident. YouTube. Questions and comments from yesterday's episode. Oh boy, there is quite a few, although they're all my daughter and Jim, like I was talking about. So we'll start with Jim. He says, yeah, we get those things about 2 foot high and they burn the F out of your knees. You really need to wade to soak the venom out. Yeah. I had an experience with Brennnessel. So the burning nettles, stinging nettles in Germany, and they get like 5 feet tall. Long story short, tight turn on a trail coming down a mountain. Yeah, 900 meters, that's a mountain. Anyways, I went over the turn, off the hill about 20 feet down into a patch of nettles. That was brutal. Got my stuff together and went a little farther down, went straight out to that creek and jumped in the water. So yeah. Yeah, zip off pants or SOP for stream. Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to avoid zip offs this year to get some sun on my pasty wet legs. And honestly, of the 4 pair of zip offs I have, only one fits me anymore. And even those are huge on me. But hey, there's an advantage to weight loss. But I'm not going to go out and buy 4 new pairs, not at $100 and some dollars, right at $100 a pair. Yeah, my daughter says it's prendas. It's in America too. Again, I associated it with north and east of here. I know I've ran into it in the UP. I've ran into it in northern Wisconsin. I've run into it in Minnesota before. So she likes the small creeks. It looks very calm, and the pretty little fish too. Yeah, they are. They're more colorful. You even said that the other day. I think the smaller fish are much more colorful until you get into saltwater. But yeah. Oh yeah, the little balls on the leaves, milba, mites. It could very well be a mite sac, an egg sac for mites. Highly possible. She loves the little fish at the end. That at the end is a green sunfish. That's the one I'm talking about compared to a conventional sunfish that has the body style of, most panfish, most bluegill, that fat, rounded body. And you look at green sunfish and they're more torpedo-like. I think a little more akin to like rock bass than a bluegill. So, all right, I'm going to give those likes so I remember that I answered them. Mites, milba. I'm going to have to look at that, B. You might be right. It does make absolute sense. I begin to say what I love about this fishing, and then I talked about the camera. Oh, I bet I know what you're talking about. That was kind of my point, is creek fishing, you don't need to carry all this gear because you're not going to be going a long distance on most creeks. So yeah, you can go lighter. That's what I meant. I gave that one a thumbs down by accident. So yeah, that's all the questions and comments, I think. I'll go back over here to my notepad where I copied and pasted everything. Rigging a level line, river works, we'll talk about that in a bit. Backpack and fly fishing, yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. More. It's just the irony of that question. It makes me laugh sometimes. I think some people read my email, but I guess they're common questions, and you know enough people, it's going to happen. All right, let me load up and let's go back here to this. The pack is wide open at the top. It's a roll top. But yeah, since that question was asked again about the pack, I figured, well, since I'm going out here to do a tutorial on the level lines, it's a good time to put everything in the pack and show you how I put everything in there, at least the rods and stuff. All right. So, time I come out here, I talk about that weed. Yeah. Let me go back and stand exactly where I was a few weeks ago. There's the crack. I was standing right here. Now, if you remember, just a couple weeks ago, they were about right here. A day or so later, they were about right here. Those things are huge. It looks like some type of a sunflower to me, but I'm not sure. I guess we'll know in a couple weeks. There is some little pod forming at the top. Just a single one. But yeah, so this is the place I commonly call the butterfly park. And butterflies and dragonflies. I don't know if they'll show up on the video, but there are a lot of them. And there's our shelter kind of over there. I'm going to walk this last little bit. I'll see you guys over there. Alright, so now we're here at the pavilion. A little bit of a breeze coming through, so I have the external mic. Hopefully that doesn't make it too loud. Getting rods out here so we can talk about some rods real quick, since these were all asked about. Oops. So, I mentioned the rods I was bringing to the Driftless and had a couple questions on those. Number one question was the Riverworks rods. Have I fished them? What do I think of them? Are they worth the money? My answer on the money thing is going to be, I think it was yesterday's video. I talked about buying from cottage vendors. No matter what, that's my answer. Go to the cottage vendor. Yes, I have fished the ZX2 hybrid, and I quite like it. That was the reason for buying or backing the ZX Micro when Jeff announced it. I don't know how many rods Jeff made. You'll have to correct me, Jeff. I think it's a dozen or so rods. He did not make a lot of them because he didn't get enough backing on the project, but he went ahead and filled the order for all of them that prepaid. I can't speak for the little one because I haven't fished it yet, but the ZX2 hybrid, I freaking love it. The difference is that you don't have the cork, or in this case it's EVA foam with a laminated cork finish, but on the Pro Spec you don't have that dampening. So when you're holding the rod, either with your finger on it, on the rod itself, or you're farther down, all the ticks, when you get, a slightest hit on the fly or the nymph, it's passed up the blank and into the grip. This is one of the most sensitive rods as far as feel that I've ever had, and I can't think that the Micro would be worse. The Micro is probably even better because of the smaller grip. There's less lost in the transmission through the grip. These are a hard material. Surprisingly, I fished with the ZX2 for 7 hours one day, and no fatigue at all. There's one thing I always saw people complaining about is, they were worried because it wasn't a soft grip that you would have a lot of fatigue. Not the case. I can't say it's any better, but it's definitely not any worse. So yeah. The other one I got the question about again is the one I said I wouldn't sell, and that's the Pro Spec 2-way. This is the 320, so slightly shorter. 320 is 10 foot, I think, instead of 11 foot something. That's funny, it's got spider webs on it from walking through the woods. But yeah, that's another rod. Like I said, I fished for trout with it twice, so this year will be 3. But, and it's not that expensive of a rod. I think this is $140. It came as part of a package deal I bought. Everybody with little, they're out driving around today. So yeah, it's like I said, it's not a full cork grip. It's EVA foam that's laminated. But yeah, it's a great rod. The sensitivity on this one is really good too. This is another one of those rods where you can feel every flick of the tail as the fish is pulling away. I tied into probably about a 10-inch largemouth bass on this thing, and like most guys, if you fish fixed line, you've heard it at one time or another. When the line and the rod starts to sing as the fish is going away, epic. And then of course, I actually said Kiru yesterday, but the Kurenai. So this is the HM30R, the 3 meter. So those are my 4 fixed line rods for Wisconsin. Okay, and the next question was on, so one of the guys lost his rod cap. A lot of the fixed line rods have a small, just a little plug cap that goes in, and he's already lost his. So I didn't do it on this one. I've done it on some of the wooden caps. Drill a hole through it, all the way through, very fine hole. Run a piece of Lillian or Dacron, the little fine little cord at the end of the rod. Run another piece through that loop, a big piece. Tie a knot in it, so then you've got a little grip. You can put it around your finger or hook it onto your keychain or a small carabiner on your pack. That way you don't lose them. Since you lost it, if you can't find another one from a vendor, they make these little slide-on caps with a little rubber strap, so it just goes. This is too big for this rod, but just slides on the end. You spin it, and there you go. Clips into place. Now you've got a rod cap. Actually, surprisingly, that actually fit it. All right, so the main question was level line. What do I use? I talked about it yesterday, but I don't think it made it in the final edit. My favorite is the PALS Japanese line. I find the PALS is much more supple. It doesn't maintain the memory of being, coiled up on a spool for a long, crazy amount of time. It just comes out and it gets you can see it there. Yeah, it's a good thing I wore the darker shirt. So it gets a very loose retent memory on it. And quickly, like you guys remember old leaders from conventional fly fishing, you straighten it out a few times and it relaxes even more. Two common thicknesses you're going to see are the 3.5. 3, the smaller the number, the lighter the line, the thinner the diameter. I use 3.5 for a majority of my fixed line fishing. I have 3 and 2. I think it's 2.25. I use those on the current eye. The current eye actually right now has 3 on it, so it's a very, very thin. That's not going to really focus, but trust me, it's really thin. This is why I'll be glad when I get the big camera back. Another one, and I don't know that Brent would ever even want to say his source for the line. I'm looking to see if I can't compare markings. But the Dragon Tail, their 3.5 is very good. It's a fluorocarbon, so it sinks quickly. If you want it to sink, it just feels lighter as you cast it as well, but it's heavy enough to load a rod. That's one of the things I talked about in the past that to me is important with a rod. If I can't feel it load, even with one line up, then it's not the rod for me. Yes. I looked at my pack. I was like, oh, did I leave it in there? And I did. My little butt pad. I had questions on microfishing and sources for hooks. So I'm going to pull out some of the different hooks that I have real quick. I also got a little bit of a ding because somebody's like, isn't that bait fishing? Well, yeah. But so what? It's all fishing. Don't overthink. I'll talk about this one in a minute. Don't overthink what you're doing. It's fishing, okay? It's not rocket science. Granted, learning it at first seems like rocket science over time. So yeah, this is my 3rd or 4th pack. I'm trying to think where the other one is right now. I think it might be in my Zimmer-built sling. But the owner 0.3s, I think I talked about these in the van. This is the half moon style. There's several different styles. And the hooks go up from there. Forgot what the gap is on these. The hook sizes always mess me up. The Japanese hook sizes. So I just visually look at them. Dash tiny. Right up here, they're pre-snelled. Also pre-snelled. This is another one. I'm trying to see the length. This one's 5.3 meter line. Pre-snelled hook. There's the hooks right there. It comes with an indicator, a yarn type indicator. And this bag even has two sizes of split shot. So it's a good one. This is like the... Damn, I only got 3 left too. Another one, it's also a 5.4 meter line attached to it. And again, you're casting, but it's more of a flip than, casting a fly. It's slightly different. I'm trying to remember, I think that is, the hook size is a 7 on this, a Japanese 7. I'm not sure what this one is. 45 centimeter. I'm trying to find what might be the measurement. I guess that is the measurement. So that would be a Japanese 7. This is a Japanese 0.3. Sorry, I can't read Japanese. And these are an eyeless hook. I'll take a picture with my phone and zoom in and show you over the video right here. So you'll be able to see there's no eye, it's just a flat tab. And that, I have quite a few hooks like that. For the longest time, it was like, how in the hell am I supposed to tie these things on? And then I saw a trick using the Japanese, a lot of them use a stick of thin bamboo that's been whittled and sanded to shape, so it's got a little V hook, V in the end of it, and they hold the hook on the side at the end. The hook, the barb is pointing out, the eye is pointing out, and then they just wrap it, tie it on like a nail knot, run it through, and then pull it and the hook off at the same time. So it's like all our nail knot tools that we've all used. These little things, I don't remember who sent me these, but they came out of Japan, like most of these did. They have the prices in Japanese yen. Oh yeah, the owners. These, instead of using a flat strike indicator, a piece of yarn or something, these actually have an adjustable index card that you slide up and down. So it's just got 2 cuts in it and the line feeds through it. And rather than including split shot, hey, they use a flat strip of material, which is probably most likely tungsten. You tear it and just wrap it around the line. Couple here walking with their kid and their dog. But yeah, and then this one, this is just stupid, but I used a couple of these rigs. I didn't even need to put bait on the hook. It was the red hook. Drew the fish right to it. So yeah. But I have, like I said, a few packs of these left. I think one is probably in the Zimmer-built pack. The sling pack. So there were just questions about different types of line that I use. So yeah, we talked about level line, which is predominantly what I'm doing this year. For the longest time I used, whoa, and these are so light, the wind's trying to carry them off. So I use conventional furled lines. Brandon Moonlit Fly Fishing. Brandon, I ran into Brandon at first on Facebook. I was talking about leaders, furled leaders for an 8-weight fly rod that every one of them I bought from this one company that shall remain unnamed. They all came unfurled. Every one of them. And this is a commercial company. I don't know how large they are in size, but they're a bigger company. Brandon does these by himself at home. I've never had one of Brandon's fail. So yeah, so that's one type of furled. I have so many different ones. So this is also, well, this is Moonlit from Dragon Tail. Is the Nodachi. I bought quite a few of these. It is a furled fluoro or nylon, guys. I forget. And it does not say on the package, but it's a furled extruded line that's been furled up just like the fabric lines. And for if you love furled lines casting in the wind, these are 10 times better than this, than a conventional furled, and 50 times better than level line. It's the one complaint I have with level line, but you know, you have to take the environment for what it is. Another one that I commonly use is a floating line. These are mostly, I don't think it's a big secret, is it? Most of them are a spay running line, the lighter spay line. So they've been cut down to size. So I have a whole stack of different furled lines here. The Ronin from Moonlit. I had this on one time before and somebody was asking me about it. This was one, I don't know, Brandon, did you ever make this a commercial product? Brandon tied me up a furled line specifically for throwing poppers. It's slightly heavier towards the tip. I don't know how long I've had this line. 3 years, 4 years, maybe a little longer. Kevlar. So these are furled Kevlar lines. Brutally efficient. It's a heavy line. You know what, Mike? I don't think I've fished this one yet, and I just noticed your tippet ring is not actually a ring. It's, well, not really heart shaped, but if you turn it upside down, it's a teardrop. I never noticed that. I haven't fished yours yet. And that's the other thing to look at too. The way these guys can furl these lines, they can, if you have a line that you like, and that's another thing with Brandon and Mike that I'll give them a lot of kudos for. Well, I like this line that you make, but I would like it to be a little heavier at the tip. They can do it. So yeah, those are the basics. But like I said, this year I'm predominantly level line. And I'm almost out of battery. I might have to record the actual rigging on the Fuji on how to make the level lines. Because, yeah, 12% battery. Wow. I'll never be able to make that on this camera. So I'll have to do that on Fujifilm. See you guys in a bit. But yeah, we're at that point again. That's it for today, guys. Be good, be well. See you guys soon. Bye. Last one on closer. If you're still watching this, you're one of the people I really like. A lot of you guys, it's not a bad thing. I'm not complaining. A lot of the videos get about 80% watch, so I try to keep you through to the end. So I'll give you howdy ho for watching all the way to the end, because you're my favorites. All right, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe, please. See you tomorrow.